Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna look at Registeel in Go Battle League. Now, it is one of the best Pokemons in the meta. It's ranked number 1 in Great League and number 1 in Ultra League by pppoke.com. So the reason why it is so strong, probably because it has access to Focus Blast and Zap Cannon, two of the best nukes in the game. But while the charge moves hit really hard, it doesn't have any fast move pressure, so the lock-on damage is really non-existent. As a normal type, it doesn't have any potential for super effective damage either. So when you use Registeel, it's actually kind of tricky and take a little bit of skills. So today we're going to look into some battles and see how we can use Regi to get some victories. So let's get into it. So jumping into the first match here, we earlier had a Sableye against our Trevenant there. Pretty good matchup for us. And our opponent decided to stay in and then swap into the A9 at some point. And we had a pretty good response here with our Regi. So with Regi, because it has absolutely zero fast move damage, you are doing the damage with the charge move here. Zap Cannon is the way to go. They both, I think, do the exact same amount of damage, but Zap Cannon has this 100% chance of debuffing your opponent's attack. So whenever you can, you want to throw that. Now, you see me throwing this Focus Blast here, but not tapping any bubble, because I actually want this A9 to have some health left so I can farm more. But you can see I didn't really get that much farm. So here is one of the tricks of using Regi. You have to know your matchups really well, knowing in which situation you can undercharge. Because if I knew the matchup a little bit better, I could have just thrown the Zap Cannon and did maybe a few bubbles to get more farm there. Now you can see the Trevenant came back and I swapped out knowing that I have the Focus Blast store, and I was very close to the Zap Cannon as well. So I figured that because Regi has such a good matchup against the majority of the meta with the charge moves anyway, I could probably threaten the shield coming back out on the other side if I have an unfavorable matchup here for my Araquanid. And turn out that they have a Azumarill here, and this is a very long matchup to play out, but actually Araquanid is so strong that it can come out on top on even shielding scenario against Azumarill. You saw me using that shield very liberally here because I'm just going to throw the Bubble Beam debuff straight away to debuff the attack of the Azumarill. And because Bug Bite is so oppressive, it will over time add up against the Azu, and Azu really can't really do much except just throwing the Play Rough. So I wanted to shield the most damaging move there. And so at this point, I'm just going to throw one more Bubble Beam to debuff it even further, and then we can go straight to the Bug Buzz. Even though it is resisted, it will do quite a lot of damage to the Azu, especially at this health range. This Azu is actually getting pretty low already, and we have our Focus Blast store. We are, I think, one knock-on away from the Zap Cannon, so the shield there is pretty much guaranteed. And I know very well, look at the health range of the Azu, knowing that there's no point of throwing Bubble Beam anymore, so just throwing straight Bug Buzz. And my opponent actually had to shield here, because if he didn't, then the health is just going to get too low. My Sableye can even come out and Shadow Claw this down. And at this point, I don't really care about the health of the Araquanid anymore. I just happily let it go down, let the Azu take it down, and then I can throw the Zap Cannon. So my opponent, I think, knew that as well. Azu cannot stack moves, so throwing that Play Rough means that it will need at least 1 or 2 bubbles to get to the next charge move, and that's GG here. Jumping into the next game, we have a Sableye lead against a Nidoqueen. So this is actually a little bit tricky because Sableye has a good matchup against Nidoqueen, so is Noctowl, which I swapped in this time instead of using Araquanid. But Regi has absolutely no fast move pressure against Nidoqueen, and it got outpaced as well to the Earth Power. So it's actually kind of tricky. I need to get this Nidoqueen low enough where I can fast move it down or just take it out altogether here. Now my opponent decided to stay in. I think I'm just going to let this go. It's Earth Power, really hurt. And then this Obstagoon came in here. So Obstagoon is kind of bulky, It's not as bulky as Noctowl, but it's definitely outpacing the Noctowl to the charge moves. So I decided to stay in here, throw in a return, and it landed, so that's pretty good for me. And then I called out my Noctowl here, trying to farm this thing down. Now there's case to be made that I could have thrown a charge moves here and just take it out without taking too many counters and nice lashes. But I figured that because the Nidoqueen is dry, I could just potentially come out with 2 Sky attacks and just either take 2 shields or take down the Nidoqueen in that way. But unfortunately, I have to use another shield here because the obstacle is just so quick to the charge move. So we're down a shield coming out this mid-match, and seeing there's Nidoqueen coming back out, I just rolled a Sky attack immediately, hoping to take it out or take a shield, and I expected a shield here. And we do get a shield, so that's pretty good. And I throw this Sky attack right away again, trying to get another shield or take this out. And here is where it gets quite tricky. So if you allow me to pause it here, you see this Nidoqueen has quite a lot of health left. My Sableye is really low, so it's not going to be able to do much damage. My Noctowl is getting farmed down, and Regi has 0 fast move damage. So if I call out my Regi here, my opponent can potentially get to 2 Earth Power and just do massive damage to the Regi. If I stay in here, I get farmed down. But I figured that if I stay here, I can still do some wing attack damage, potentially lower to a point where my Regi can handle, but it has to be really, really low. So you see me trying to stay in here, and at some point I even tap and try to swap into my Sableye, not trying to catch a charge move, but just to do a single Shadow Claw damage. That will actually help a lot on the Regi matchup, and my opponent actually blind swap into a Scrafty afterwards as well, so that really helped out. If my opponent did not do that, if he stayed in and then throw something like a Poison Fang, bait, and I shielded that, then I'll be in very, very bad position. But luckily my opponent's blind swapped, so I could throw this Focus Blast on this Scrafty, and my opponent here trying to bait me with a Poison Fang. And I wasn't even trying to catch at this point. I was actually trying to use my Sableye to throw one more Shadow Claw, hopefully, and get this Nidoqueen low enough. But luckily I caught that Poison Fang, and at this point I just had to shield this, and pretty much this is 1 or 3 more HP. I can just lock on this down. So you can see Regi here, no fast move damage whatsoever. Really tricky to play some of these matchups out at certain situations. So you have to be really mindful of what your other 2 Pokemons can do, and at which point you need to stay in or just get farmed down, like this one that you just saw. Jumping to the third match, we have Sableye here against the Trevenant. This time the opponent decided to switch out and coming in with Walrein here. So pretty good matchup for the Spider. We resist everything that this Walrein can throw. The Spider can pretty much just bite it down and then throw some Bubble Beams to lower his attack, making sure that we don't take too much Icicle Spear damage. Now in the match, like if you are switching in Araquanid versus a switched in Walrein or Swampert, you should just go straight Bubble Beam because your opponent can't switch out, and the debuff really worked in your favor in this case. My opponent actually went for an Earthquake there, but pretty much did nothing because the Bubble Beam hit the Walrein earlier, and then we're just now going to throw another one, trying to farm down this Walrein, come out with tons of energy and threaten that Araquanid. And I kind of want to preserve the health of this Araquanid as well, knowing that it's quite bulky and the Shadow Claw from Trevenant will not be enough to take it out if I have enough HP. So hopefully I have some HP left, and looks like we have around 20%, which is great. And then we have this Trevenant coming back in, and I was quite silly here. I actually threw a Bubble Beam, thinking that my opponent will shield, but actually my opponent did not, as you'll see here. So we're left in a kind of a sticky situation here because the opponent can come up with tons of energy. But luckily we got to another Bubble Beam. So double debuff Trevenant, most likely is going to switch out. So I'm fully expecting my opponent to just store all of these energy and then switch out afterwards. And what do they have in the back? As you see, it is another Registeel. So I'm just going to pause it real quick here because you see that we have both shields out. We're on even shield scenario, and the Regi of my opponent came out first. So if I switch to my Regi right away, I'll always be in a disadvantage in terms of energy. And because Regi, again, has no fast move pressure whatsoever, if I can't land a Focus Blast, I'm in a big trouble. Sableye needs basically 2 foul plays in order to take out this Regi, and that Trevenant has a lot of energy stored as well. So if you threw a Shadow Ball and then there's Stab Cannon coming from the Registeel, I have to shield something, and if I use it all on Regis, then I will have no shield left for the Sableye. Which means basically I can't switch out right away. I need the Sableye to stay in here, at least chip this Regi into Focus Blast range, or take a shield off. Anything can give my Regi some advantage, and my opponent actually shielded there. So that was really good news for me, because now I can safely bring out my Regi. Even if it is a Focus Blast, I'll be okay, I'll survive. And it is Zap Cannon, so this is absolute dream scenario. I managed to catch this charge move, and now up a shield, I can safely go for my own Focus Blast and bring this Regi really low. My opponent got another Focus Blast first, so we have to shield it up, but that's okay because we already got a shield advantage before we swap our Regi in. And that's really important because Regi, if you have an opposing Regi coming in, you switch to your own Regi, you're always going to lose, almost. Especially when Flash Cannon is no longer a thing on Regi. Most opponents that use Regis will run Focus Blast and Zap Cannon. Very few of them still do Flash Cannon, so you really have no play there if you're behind on energy. Now, because we managed to get a shield off that Regi, we can safely shield this C-Bomb or Shadow Ball either way. And then we can just claw it down. I actually try to CMP time our opponent as well, throwing this foul play, which is completely unnecessary. And I think at this point, my opponent knew that the writing is on the wall, and this is GG here. So again, another close match, even though it doesn't look like it from the lead and from the mid game. At the end, that Regi really threatened me with the energy lead here. So well played on my part. So jumping into our last match, we have a Sableye against a Medicham. Really good lead for us. And then out come this Stunfisk. We don't really have a good answer for a G-Fisk here, so we have to stay in. And that's one thing that maybe you can be mindful of as well, is that when your opponent is switched out, doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. You can actually stay in. If you look at our team, we have a Noctowl at the back to handle this Medicham, so if we maintain switch advantage, we hopefully will be coming out okay. Now we got baited with a Rock Slide here, really unfortunate, and that makes sense because when you lose the lead that hard, like a Medicham onto a Sableye, you probably want to do everything you can trying to get back that switch advantage. So we got baited here, that's fine. We got our shield back with a foul play, and then come this charge move. I think we are gonna eat an Earthquake here, but I can't afford to shield this because if we get baited again, then we gotta eat the Earthquake later on, and then I won't be able to survive that. So have to take this Earthquake, and we're getting quite low here, but that's all right because we should be able to get to double foul plays before we got taken out by the Mud Shot. So let's see if we can do that. Here comes another Rock Slide. We have to shield this one, and then here comes the raise to the charge move. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we got there first, so very fortunate for us. This is a very high ranked Sableye as well. I think this is ranked 93, so that helps that little extra bulk there. And then I fully expected my opponent to bring back the Medicham to counter it down, but actually I saw Regi coming out from the other end, and that is big problem for me because now we're behind on energy like the last match, but all shields are down. So that means I have to eat this Focus Blast. But hopefully we can land another Focus Blast on this Regi and try to get even here. Let's see if we can do that. And our opponent did a really amazing job catching this Focus Blast onto the Medicham. So really good play, and we're now in tons of trouble. And I'm going to just pause it real quick. right now we have two choices. We can either stay in with the Regi, or we can switch into Noctowl right away and get an advantage on the energy on the Noctowl. But that Regi is still really healthy, and that means that the Noctowl won't be able to do much against it. So I actually decided to stay in. Looking at the health range of the Regi here, I should still be able to take maybe 2 to 3 counters and then store those energy on the Regi, and hopefully we'll be ahead of energy when that Regi comes out. So that's my plan here. I'm actually going to stay in, take a few counters, and 1, 2, 3, and then I switch to the Owl, trying to come out with as much energy as I can and threaten the Registeel at the back. But as you will see later, the energy that I stored on the Regi is going to be very crucial. So we are going to take an Ice Punch here, that's fine. Oh, actually did not even charge up any extra energy. I just throw this Sky Attack right away. So we take this Medicham out, and out comes this Regi, and look at how healthy this Regi is. This is a very uncomfortable range. And you can see me trying to go for the Shadow Ball because I don't want to throw resist the Sky Attack, give my opponent more ability to farm. And my opponent took us out with a Focus Blast, and we're just raising to the charge move here, and we got that just in time, throwing this Focus Blast and hoping that this is enough to take this Regi out, and boom! Take out this Regi with one single Focus Blast and take the game with 1 HP and a Dream there. So really close battle. I think if my opponent undercharge a little bit more on that Noctowl Focus Blast, come out with a little bit more energy, we'll probably have lost that game. But very luckily for us, we came out on top because we just stored enough energy when the Medicham was on the field. So we took some damage, but we're able to survive. So that's it for today. Let me know in the comment if you like using Regi or not. It is kind of a tricky Pokemon to use, and you can see in so many situations you have to play unconventionally, trying to get some advantages on the energy management part in order to win the matches. So let me know in the comment if you like using it or not, or if you like facing it. Give it a like, a comment, and subscribe for future content, and I will see you in the next one.